Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to episode 96 of the Snarp Fangle Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Metzger, somewhat tired and sleep deprived, and takes a fancy to those somewhat conspiratorial discussions, and a former fan of Ian Carrol. And my co-host this week is a man who's got a fever for the Fuentes at times, or at least that's just my perception, but I'm always willing to learn more about him. Ladies and gentlemen, the white face of supremacy, David Reed. How you doing? How you doing, David?
I'm tired. I'm really tired.
I am so tired too, man.
I'm ready to have an interesting discussion about interesting things.
Yeah, I have you right where I want you, David. Sleep deprived, so you can just say anything that comes to mind without the filter. For those interested in submitting different topics or any inquiries or questions you may have, or whether you are a fan of some weird white supremacists or black supremacists, I don't know any of these people and what supremacy they have anymore. I don't know. Any regards. With regards, send them on over to snarpfanglepod@gmail.com. I'm sure that was some form of English you guys understood, but I am so tired that you're lucky you're getting an episode this week, guys. It's been really rough. Anyway, so David, today, this is maybe for the audience, not much of an interesting episode from what the people I know who listen to this, or maybe it is, I don't know, but I kind of want to talk about the current state of the, in quotes, culture war, in quotes, and just people on the internet yelling at each other and introducing theories and conspiracy theories and who killed what and who, and is it the Jews or whoever? I don't know. But I'm just, I want to start with a video came out recently. And the whole, again, culture war stuff, politics, we're going to get into it. So just FYI, audience. But here we go. A video came out recently, released by that good old right-winger Steven Crowder. I'm sure he's many other things. He's also a father. Probably is a connoisseur of cigars and whiskey. But people call him right-wing, so we'll go with that. Anyway, he released a video about a little conference the Daily Wire had announcing their disassociation and termination of their contract with Candace Owens, which was done, I think it was taped on March 19th, 2024, so a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years at this point. And basically it kind of detailed a very coherent and clear reason why they were distancing and terminating their contract with her. Many of the reasons, of course, was kind of just her behavior and support that is viewed as anti-Semitic or straight up anti-Semitism. So that came out just, I think, yesterday, and I was watching it, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. This is like, because they came out and did public statements and tweets about why they, distanced themselves, but this was the actual real thing that he did in front of the company that Steven Crowder leaked just recently. And it's because there's a lot of context required, but for those who aren't savvy, Candace Owens has been going through the ringer, kind of introducing theory after theory after theory, reason after reason, lead after lead, potentially, of who and what and why Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And it's been something I've been following recently, and I've kind of been deep diving into people commentating on it, her podcast episodes as well, and how I'm kind of just not really a fan of her anymore at this point. But I just want to hear what you think, David. You have this thing going on with her basically like saying, oh, it was Turning Point, it was our government, maybe his wife had something to do with it. It's like all this crazy stuff that's like getting quite out of hand. And of course, she's a big person that's like, it's the Jews. She's aligned herself with Kanye, people who also kind of think it's all the Jews' fault, like Nick Fuentes, Fresh and Fit podcast, a lot of other, entertainers and people out there and commentators. But I want to know what you think of all this, David. It's been very interesting to kind of see this meltdown from her, as well as going after other commentators and people in the same space. And she's kind of just being she's kind of going down with the ship, for lack of a better term. And she's kind of trying to drag everybody down with her. Or is the ship even sinking? I don't know. And would the ship be Candace's show? I don't know. But it's just interesting how you look back at 2018 and you look at the cancel culture, the hate mobs, the people, the celebrities that would go after people and cancel them for political reasons, obviously during the Trump era. And then you have that kind of accelerating during Biden's first term. And then you have this Trump second term. And things have kind of mellowed out in a way where the left side of things has taken a backseat in the culture war, but is obviously still there and very clear. And then you have the right wing and then the far right wing, or whoever's part of it, populism, I guess. But you have people who voted for Trump, basically. People who wanted freedom. And they're all fighting amongst each other. And this is one example is this Candace situation. I think, I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy, the claim she's making. But I want to know what you think, David. You're a connoisseur of this kind of culture war and following it as well. I know you're a big fan of that quartering fella. Not really. We don't like the quartering. But one of us, I won't say who, but one of us has taken the initiative of unsubscribing from him, and one of us hasn't. And I'll let the audience figure that out. But joking aside, David, what do you think of this whole Candace Owens thing? This person that kind of came up in the 20-teens, was very, very well-spoken and articulate, and now has taken that as a, for lack of a better term, a weapon against everything and anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really been a huge Candace Owens fan. It was cool to see, for lack of a better term, like someone who kind of bucked the trend, so to speak. Conservative black woman, it was kind of cool to see that in a sort of like middle finger to the left and their identity politics kind of way. But as far as her actual content went, I was never really a follower of hers. But this, it just seems like, I say this just because I want to make it clear that I'm not like an expert on everything she's ever said, but so this is just my general impressions of the things that I've seen her say.
Yeah, same here. We're not experts. We're just two dudes talking on the internet. And our opinions, I hold David's in high value, but me, not so much.
So it seems to me like what happened with Candace Owens is she kind of started off with a legitimate like disagreement over policy regarding Israel with her masters at the Daily Wire.
God.
And it just seems like it just seems like she kind of hit on some things that she wasn't supposed to say, that she wasn't, questions she wasn't supposed to ask, and she got, pushback from the pro-Israel crowd, as often happens when you start noticing things and asking questions. And what I think happened is that pushback sort of like, I guess I'm like, my brain is toast, so I probably...
do you want me to give like a rundown?
No.
Like
so,
a rough
so my
rundown?
brain is toast, but so I probably won't describe this in the best way.
Okay.
But my idea is that, like, that pushback sort of tickled the right spot in her brain.
Oh.
And she thought to herself, oh, I'm getting pushback. I'm being quote unquote persecuted for noticing things and asking questions. That must mean I'm onto something. And it seems like she never was it seems like self-reflection, like, was never, or self-awareness was never one of her strong suits. And so it seems like with that pushback from, just starting off with some pretty benign disagreements and talking points sort of pushed her down the rabbit hole, so to speak. And now, at this point, I think she's pretty much lost it. She's pretty much lost the plot. It's just been this sort of slow decline of her into just like straight up like nutcase land.
Yeah, there's going to be a term I mentioned a few times during this discussion, and one of them is chaos agent. And I think there's a few people that are in the space, the political commentator space, that are basically chaos agents. And Candace Owens wasn't always a chaos agent. She's actually pretty, like, articulate and clear, and come to think of it, I would agree on the self-awareness thing, because even I was listening to her Joe Rogan appearance from back in 2018, I believe. I can't remember if it was the first or second one, but I watched, I think I started watching it again today. And it's kind of like she talks past a lot of people, a lot of points. And she addresses things, but she doesn't really, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like egotistical, but it could be perceived as such. Basically, it's like there'll be a point, she addresses it, or maybe she doesn't, and then she'll bring up another thing and kind of scurry off into like squirrel land, basically. But anyway, it could be just her lack of self-awareness. I don't know. But I think just from analyzing her character from the past and now in comparison, I think she's always been extremely analytical, and I think she's always been very good with her words, but maybe not careful. Maybe if not the opposite of careful with her words. I remember the first time when I saw her, I got to introduce to her Dave Rubin's podcast he interviewed. Basically, back in the 2010s, he went and interviewed basically everybody from the political commentator space or adjacent space. That's how I got introduced to Chris Reagan, of all people, who's part of the Sacred Symbols podcast. This was even before Sacred Symbols was a thing. He did just funny political songs that got him noticed, like Punch a Nazi and stuff like that. Just really, really hilarious stuff. And it's kind of interesting because on that show, there was a variety of people from all kinds of different spheres. Like Chris Reagan's a straight up socialist, I would consider. He's very liberal, but he's on the socialist spectrum, we'll say.
Wait, is he a liberal or is he a socialist?
He's kind of in between. I think he's more socialist than liberal.
Liberalism and socialism are two different things, by the way.
Yeah, he's more of a modern liberal. Like more borderline far left.
Okay, so you would say he's a leftist.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay,
like
so
he's a big Mondami fan. He's I would consider
so
Chris.
that's
I would
consider
Chris
terms.
Reagan is a leftist. I still love him though. Like I love him to death. I think he's first off hilarious, great, like naturally funny. But anyway, that's a side topic. Anyway, you had people like him, Candace, Charlie Kirk on the Dave Rubin podcast, like just an hour-long interview or 2 hours or whatever. And those are great introductions to people that Dave would talk to anybody, basically. People that would do it. And that's how I got introduced to a lot of these people during the like 2010s becoming politically aware. And Candace was one of them. And her story is so fascinating. Like the way, like how she basically came up in this space where she started with creating and partnering up with some company to create a software that was basically exposing the bullies is basically how I remember it described or how I would describe it now. And it was software that would take people's anonymity off the internet. And I don't know exactly what way that would, like how it would do that. Makes very little sense now, but basically it's doxing them, basically. Everything but their address and stuff like that. But you would find out their real name, where they politically align, that kind of thing. Anyway, she was partnering up with some kind of company to create the software. And because of that, the internet like hated her and went after her. And then she's like, wait, what's going on here? Like, I'm just trying to stop bullying. Like, I'm not trying to get in political stuff. So I retract the political sphere thing about the software. But basically the idea was a software that would track down bullies and expose them. for what they do. Anyway, she was a part of this campaign, and then sure enough, the hate mob in quotes comes after her, and like basically they cancel her. And they like trash her and take her down and call the people she's working for. And
clearly they didn't do a good enough job.
Yeah, then I saw her on Dave Rubin. She becomes very politically aware of a lot of things. She's a big Trump fan. And she becomes this like, because she's young, because she's, African American and these kind of factors and a Trump lover, she's very kind of like this kind of like this unicorn, the right-wing space, like the conservative space grabbed onto, and they're like, whoa, we will follow your, what does Sidious say to, what does Chancellor Palpatine say in Phantom Menace to young Anakin? Do you remember the quote? We will see your career with great interest, or
yeah, something like
that. It's basically that. That's like what everybody did with Charlie Kirk and with Candace and that kind of thing. So I remember like her comeuppance and everything. And then like there was like this big argument on Joe Rogan one time. And I don't think it was I can't remember which episode it was, but a big disagreement with Joe Rogan. Like they argued for like an hour about something. I can't remember what it was. But it was like that kind of visceralness and kind of, I dare say, madness comes through in her voice during that huge argument her and Rogan get into. And that tone of voice translated to today when I went to go listen to her latest episode about Erika Kirk telling people like Candace Owens and other commentators about conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's murder and telling them to stop. Please stop this. Stop this, please. And then Candace's response to that in an hour-long show. And I heard the same kind of pettiness and scornfulness in that voice again. And it was really interesting to kind of compare the two. But I want to bring up a thing here, David, in terms of chaos agents. Because what is the point of this crashing out that Candace is doing? She's kind of disassociated herself from every wing of the political wing, whether it be right or left or people who are just for freedom or not for freedom. She's kind of just made herself an outcast.
Well, I think she does it mostly because it just makes her show successful. Like her audience laps it up.
Yeah.
And it's like if that's what she needs to do to, make a name for herself, so be it as far as I'm concerned. But to me, it seems like she's just like drifting off further and further into La La Land as she keeps going,
I'm just kind of curious as to why. Like, what's the point of it all? Like, why is she... Because it could be one of three things. It could be just money, because she's making... I mean, if you just look at the YouTube analytics, she's making a bunch of money through just the views and the AdSense, but not just that. The brand deals. Like, there's 4 ads in her hour-long podcast. It's ridiculous. There's way too many ads. Like, baked-in ads that she does on the show. And she incorporates them in. So she's obviously making, the last episode she did that's obviously viral, has 2.5 million views. That's crazy. And just tons of engagement. Like, she's making money off this thing. So it could be that. There's also an argument I've heard where people are like, it could be she's just bitter about Charlie Kirk's death. Not the fact he died, but maybe there was a thing where they had a falling out, and maybe this is her revenge on Erika or something like that, or turning point, because they also disassociated themselves from her by just not inviting her anymore. So there's that thought, but there's also, I would say, there's the pettiness. Maybe she has something against the turning point or Erika or something like that. There's the money. There's also, like, I guess a third one, which, goes into conspiracy land. Like, is she being paid by somebody? Who is it? What's going on? I'm not going to start that here, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of backing from her, from whether it be a 3-letter agency, a foreign entity. I have no idea, but I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they have a hand in this or something like that, but I don't know if she would do anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know about
nothing
that.
really sounds right. It kind of might be a mix of a bunch of them, but I don't know for sure.
I
Like,
I kind of think it's money, most of it, because like her audience in particular, from the comments that I can see, who are on her stuff, that like on her videos, that are actually like supporters of her,
mm,
you know, from the kind of things they comment, and just from like the behavior of people in general, um, it seems to me like it's mostly just she's doing this to get clicks, get attention, and thus make money.
mm.
Because if there's one thing that this whole right-wing civil war is good for, it's good for content farming.
Yeah, definitely.
So I have a feeling that Candace is just kind of like, I'm gonna stir the pot as much as I can, and get while the getting's good, so to speak.
Yeah, it's interesting to like see where like this starts, this whole saga. It's ever since basically it's since the assassination of Charlie Kirk that where this started, and it's been like video after video after video, podcast after podcast of her saying, "I've been emailed this. I have connections here. I got an email last night about this. I got a text from somebody about is it Michelle Macron, the chick who's the wife of the French president and that kind of thing."
Oh,
Can't remember her
it's
name.
Bridget.
Bridget, yeah. And that whole saga it's fascinating until you until now, really. Until you find, I always thought, you know what, it sure looks like a dude. You never know. But honestly, that's not what we're here to talk about. But like, she's been very much like, it's a conspiracy and this is what I'm going for. And now she's being sued. Apparently her husband's like worth millions, so I don't know. This might be about money. It could just be all about money. I don't know. For me, I just want to see like the heart of what's the heart behind this? I don't think it's for good intentions at all. That's for the first thing. But like, there's also the audience factor, David, and I want to know what you think of this. I think she's getting a lot of attention with the whole Jew in Israel thing because a lot of people around the world, whether they be bots or not, just don't like Israel, straight up. Like, let's be real. There's a lot of people in a lot of places, especially around Israel, that don't like them. So it kind of makes sense, at least in my mind, why her stuff is popular on the internet, the World Wide Web. Because a lot of the world just straight up don't like Israel. And I'm not here to get into why Israel is good or bad. I'm just saying I think it's an educated observation.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that assessment, simply because in her comments upon the war in Gaza and all that, she tends to frame it as, the genociding Israelis against the poor freedom fighters, freedom fighting Palestinians, kind of a thing, which is a grossly overly simplistic way of looking at it. But I think she frames it that way intentionally in order that people who, shall we say, aren't from the West can appreciate her content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there has to be a good guy and a bad guy.
Well, it's more like people who they're.
We'll frame it in a certain perspective where people are
okay,
like, yes,
I'll lay it
yes.
out. I'll lay it out clearly.
Okay,
I won't mince words.
All right.
Jews and Arabs freaking hate each other.
Exactly. Yes.
Jews and Arabs hate each other, and it's been this way for a long time.
Long time.
And I think her framing of the war in Gaza in this way makes her position more favorable to people who just to Arabs or Arab sympathizers who just want to see Israel destroyed.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's kind of like why I think she's getting a lot of views, a lot of engagement, also a lot of interviews. Like people want, I don't know about recently, but people do want to talk to this woman. Same thing with Nick Fuentes. Like they're hot right now. And I think honestly, just looking at the way Candace has behaved in the past, she loves this attention. Like, and I don't blame her. But like, it's like she keeps going to the next crazy step. And the reason why we're even talking about this, I kind of wanted to talk about this is because I saw Tim Pool just crash out on his stream about her. And the reason being is because, she's implicating Turning Point and Erika in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And the reason why it's important is because Candace is a big commentator in the space of conservatism. A lot of people have looked to her and liked her in the past, and Tim Pool's crashing out because she's basically tearing a lot of things down that Turning Point has built up, as well as the Trump movement has built up. And she's basically saying it's all a farce. And he's crashing out because he thinks she's going to be responsible for, she's going to play a huge factor of why the midterms next year in 2026, the next elections in America are going to be, basically more to the other side. But I don't really know if that's going to be the case.
I mean, the midterms are. I mean, we can't speaking
at this point.
Speaking politically,
politically,
conservatives can't. I don't think conservatives can afford to expect good results in the midterms.
Yeah,
not just completely disregarding the Candace Owens thing and the right-wing civil war. It's like, it's politically expedient to assume that we're going to lose in the midterms.
Absolutely. That's, I think, and that's normal with every presidential cycle. If it's one party during the midterms, the next cycle, that party, the opposite party kind of picks up.
Yeah, so I think
ground. So it's kind of expected.
Yeah, so I think this whole idea of like, oh my God, Candace Owens is tearing it all down and we're going to lose in the midterms because of her. It's like, we should be expecting that we're going to get hit in the midterms and we should be doing all we can to, basically get stuff done that Democrats can't undo.
Yeah.
Like some legislation needs to be passed.
Yeah, exactly. And so, politically speaking, that's why Tim Pool is kind of mad about that, as well as like he recently, this is also another commentator, by the way, for those uninitiated, but yes, Tim Pool recently had a reported shooting at his own home property when him and his family were there. And him and his company have paid lots and lots of money. They've made it well aware they pay lots of money in security, like a lot of companies do. But that's because they've gotten multiple death threats, multiple bomb threats. There's a famous, hilarious podcast stream out there where they start the podcast, they get partway through it, and then the police show up, and his producers and everybody in the room is saying, we need to leave the building. And they say, why? The police just got they're showing up. They say there's a bomb threat on this place and we need to evacuate so they can search. So they just left the stream running after they exit out of there. And it was called the chair stream. So like literally 30,000 people tuned in for this camera just looking at this empty chair. Wow. It was hilarious.
Huh.
So like that's the level of scrutiny and hate and like legitimate threats that company and the Tim Pool company have gone through. Totally a lot of stuff. They've been through a lot of stuff. And so this and the shooting at his home and everything else they've been dealing with throughout this last several years, there's multiple videos of him recording things. whether it be on his podcast or on like news segments he's done in the past through the last couple of years, where people have shown up at his place and threatened him. And it's crazy. Like, that's the level of like influence Tim Pool and that whole thing has over the political sphere. And Candace has a similar pull, I would say, but I think it's fleeting. I think it's fleeting in the sense of she's big right now because of the news and what's happened and that kind of thing. But I don't think it's going to last forever. I think she's going to do everything in her power to make it last forever. But she's kind of self-destructing her whole career while doing so. But I don't know. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I don't know. I tend to agree. I don't know if she's like necessarily.
Well, I think she's lost trust with a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't think she's necessarily like on the cusp of destruction, so to speak. But I feel like the way her followers are and the way she's seeming to try and basically creating chaos for the sake of clicks, as from what I can tell, it doesn't seem like she's going to recognize the moment that she's gone too far.
No, I don't expect her.
So she'll continue to do what she's doing, and her audience will reward her for it because that's just the kind of thing that they want.
Yeah.
But then at some point, she's going to go too far. She's going to shoot herself in the foot. And unfortunately, I don't think she has the self-awareness to realize when she's about to cross that line.
And I think the biggest thing that I've taken issue with is just the utter hypocrisy and flip-flopping on a lot of things. Like she said, the only people that are, in my life that you can make me stop this are God and Erika Kirk. They're talking about Charlie. And it's like, okay, interesting. And then literally there's an interview that just happened last week where Erika Kirk says, stop it. And Candace just doesn't do it. Like, it's total, I think it's just crazy what's been going down. But honestly, it's all distraction. It's all just kind of like what you said. It's engagement farming. It's money making time, and people are, earning it while the earning's good. I just think it's kind of unfortunate because I remember, seeing this chick earlier. Now see where she's at, and it's like, man, this is kind of, and the whole Kanye stuff too. Like, even that's a whole kind of crazy saga in itself, and her support of him and that kind of thing. Something that Jeremy Boring said in that leaked address that he did, that Steven Crowder unfolded. And if you look at the political happenings, because I watched all these people mentioned today kind of under a close lens throughout time, with taking breaks in between, because God, politics is so exhausting. But you remember, David, the Steven Crowder and Daily Wire kind of kerfluffle a couple years ago?
Yeah, vaguely. Something about he declined to sign a contract with them, and then later on basically spilled the beans and told everyone about how
the NDAs,
awful the terms would have been if he had.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into the details of that. I just wanted to so that happened, and that was before Candace left. That was a big thing in the political space, being like, what are we doing? Yeah, F the Daily Wire, yeah, F Steven Crowder, yeah, they're scumbags, blah, blah, blah. And it's like everybody's, it pulled a lot of attention. And so in the public's eye, after that, Daily Wire had more of a negative connotation to it, just because of the Steven Crowder and people siding with him and people thinking he's the more, and I would agree, he was the more kind of minor figure that people were championing on in that situation, just from what you see people's reaction. And people see Daily Wire, they see them as a company, they see them with a lot of money, and they say, oh, they must be the bad guy. But as we know, life is more nuanced than that. And seeing the video of Jeremy Boring on stage talking about Candace kind of really made me realize that, look, these are all people. They all make mistakes. And I think there's more context that has been provided. But anyway, I'm getting the point I'm getting to is this. So that happened. After that, the whole Candace October 6th happened in Israel, all that stuff. Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens comments on the whole thing. And then the distancing starts with Candace Owens and Daily Wire. And I think just by observing Candace and her behavior and her tweets, I think what happened was she saw what was going on with Steven Crowder and Daily Wire. She kind of wanted to get out of it anyway. And she saw an opportunity and she went for it with the whole Israel thing and kind of kerfluffling Ben's feathers. Also with associating with Kanye, Fuentes, that kind of thing. And because that's the reason they didn't want to be with her, is because her association with Fuentes and Kanye and her behavior towards Ben, basically. And so that's the reason. So I think she saw the negative outlook of the Daily Wire from the public's perspective, and she took advantage of that. And now she's seen how people have reacted to Israel and all this other stuff, and she's still diving into that. She's also heavily, Ian Carrol is another figure I would like to bring up, where he started just reading Wikipedia articles about who owns what and products and in the supermarkets and everything, and how big corporations are. And he, got savvy of that. And then he went big on TikTok just for showing the public that kind of thing. And now everything that he puts up is a conspiracy. He's basically another creator like Candace, where everything is a conspiracy, and they've even done stuff together in collaboration. But yeah, that's also another figure, David. Everything's a conspiracy. It's everything. What isn't a conspiracy at this point? Do you find this kind of thing? I mean, of course it's entertaining, but have you watched any of Ian Carroll's stuff or?
No, I can't say that I have.
Oh.
I've seen him in the comments section on, when Candace Owens posts on Twitter. I've seen him in the comments.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've actually watched any of his actual content.
Yeah, I was just curious because he's just another like Candace, where it's about the Jews, that kind of thing.
It seems like that from the comments I've read from him. I get that impression.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's just the situation basically with Candace, and yeah, the reason we're talking to her about her is I just think it's interesting. She's a very influential figure. She's made a name for herself, but now she's kind of self-destructing. It's kind of fascinating to watch. But honestly, I think I was listening to her episode today, the last one she did, and it's so filled with such bitterness about everything and anything. She's so just mad and upset, and I just feel bad for her, honestly. I'm she's a mom of 3, I think now, and she's got a family and everything, and I'm just man, what are you doing?
It's at this point, if her husband's, some wealthy British dude,
oh yeah, he's British. That's right.
I think he just got his citizenship not too long ago, if I remember correctly. But if her husband's some wealthy British dude, honestly, just be a mom,
Yeah, just be a mom, dude. And it's so funny. There's even I've watched what's his name, Ruslan KD or RD or whatever his name is, JD. Ruslan on YouTube, this Christian commentator dude. And he was one of the first ones I noticed who was calling Candace out a lot. And, I don't believe everything he says or analyzes, but he does shine a light on a lot of things. And Ruslan has done a really interesting, breakdown of basically a lot of things Candace has done, almost to the point where I'm dude, are you just doing it for the clicks now? He doesn't do just her content about her, but pretty much every week there's a new Candace video or multiple Candace videos, just analyzing what she said and what hypocrisy is in them. So it's kind of where this also is kind of coming from, is to me consuming his content, being me seeing a lot of hypocrisy, but also going to watch her content and just a lot of lingo she uses is very I feel like this is the wrong thing, or I got a text, I got a thing. And then you go and I watched Tim Pool, and he said, yeah, you can journalistically just say that, hey, And like, for example, hey, David, email me right now. Can you text me about, hey, I heard that there's something going on in Israel and, they're doing something. And I'm like, okay. And then I check my phone. Hey guys, I just got a text or an email saying that Israel's doing something. Like that's basically like what Candace is doing. And it's so dumb. And she's not providing receipts for any of this. And she's like, we've debunked all this stuff. It's like, no, you haven't. I've not seen a single shred of evidence. In fact, I've seen more examples of people debunking everything she's done.
Oh, but speaking of Ruslan,
yeah,
a quick aside.
Sure.
That I found that I found not too long ago is so apparently he organized a debate between David Wood and Alex O'Connor on whether Jesus claimed to be the Son of God or not.
Ooh.
Or whether Jesus claimed to be God or not.
Huh.
And so fascinating debate. I normally don't watch debates.
Yeah.
But like I watched the whole thing. It was good.
So is Ruslan, Alex O'Connor?
Ruslan is just like
he's hosting it.
He's hosting it, and it's between Alex O'Connor and David Wood.
Interesting. Alex O'Connor's the Mormon dude?
No, Alex O'Connor's like a skeptic YouTuber.
Yeah, David Wood versus Alex O'Connor. Did Jesus claim to be God? This was 8 months ago. This was like a live show. Interesting. Yeah, he's also, I think I've discovered Ruslan because of the West Huff stuff with him and that Billy dude and the debate they had. So, and Ruslan, from the content I've seen, he's pretty right on with a lot of stuff. There's some times where I'm like, are you just doing this for the clicks or for the money? Like, I don't know. But like, I don't know. It's very interesting. He's got interviews with like Forrest Frank on there. He's got West Huff on there. He did a whole debate with our boy from the religion business show.
Oh yeah,
Apfel guy.
Yeah.
He's got a whole debate with him on there that I watched 2 hours of the 3.5 hours. I can only get through 2 hours. There's just a lot of yelling and stuff like that. Not yelling, but loud arguments.
Yeah, Ruslan has, from what I watched of his content, he seems to be pretty solid and a pretty level-headed, clear thinker. Just, I feel like he sometimes lacks nuance on certain things.
Yeah.
You know, he just but
he screams to me, and I'm not saying this is the case, but kind of like a Russell Brand type in the sense of, oh my gosh, I just got saved and this is the truth. And you're very much on this is the truth, not on like I would kind of not push back on you, David, but kind of add like maybe he's not nuanced enough, but it's not that he's not nuanced. It's he's incredibly nuanced that he is incredibly nuanced to the point where it's like almost too nice of a guy sometimes.
Yeah, nothing against him. It just seems like a lot of his content is really kind of surface level analysis of stuff. He doesn't seem to really go super deep in the topics that he talks about, which is fine for certain things. But when you're talking about like political stuff, it's like, you know, I want to dig beneath the surface a little bit.
Yeah. Well, speaking of digging deep into the surface, David, not a bone to pick with you. No, kind of the opposite. Just a general inquiry I have for you. And I know you're exactly where I want you. You're tired and sleep deprived and it's late, and I want to talk about Nick Fuentes with you, if that's all right. And what's your fascination with this guy, and why Nick? Are you even a fan of this guy? This dude who, you know, thinks the Jews did it, but most importantly, like he's kind of hot right now. He appeals to a lot of people for some reason. He's been on multiple interviews on YouTube with a lot of different podcasts, including Tucker Carlson and, you know, our boy Patrick Bet David. That kind. I don't know if he's our boy, but he's our a Cuban, not a Cuban boy. I am so tired right now. I'm so sorry. I'm just like, what's your thoughts on Nick Fuentes? I love Patrick Bet David, by the way.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes. I wouldn't call myself like a Nick Fuentes fan. I think he's a fascinating character, though. And he's another one. He's another one that it seems like he started off like doing some noticing and asking some questions that people who are very, very supportive of a certain Middle Eastern nation with a blue and white flag really don't want people talking about. And it seemed like Candace Owens, it seems like he sort of took the pushback as a sign that he needed to dive deeper into all the conspiracies and whatnot. So
now, to be fair, like to play devil's advocate, I think he has good reason to, just because.
No, I would agree. I would agree with you,
because like Alex Jones, he and Lauren Southern too, he was debanked. Multiple, I think MasterCard went after him. Like there's a lot of companies and platforms that just got rid of him, like totally canceled him, completely canceled him, kind of like Alex Jones. And so I totally get why he thinks he's doing the right thing. But continue. Sorry.
Yeah,
just wanted to provide that context.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, by the way. His enemies sort of created him.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing with him is all these people who are just, especially in like mainstream, like right-wing media, who are just
Same thing with Kanye.
Can't stand this guy. Like, they're the ones making his ideas spread.
Yeah.
They're the ones making him appealing to more and more people, because the more and more you tell someone that they can't talk about this or they can't talk about that or they have to shut up, or you try to smear them with words like anti-Semite or racist or bigot or neo-Nazi or whatever, like that always backfires. People get more interested in what this person has to say as a result. So in a way, it's like, even though I'm not really like a fan of Nick Fuentes, I kind of like am like sort of low key like cheering him on in the background, like just because he's
interesting.
Yeah, he's interesting, and like it just seems like all these people just can't help but continue to platform him in like to their own destruction, essentially. Like the Daily Wire is a good example of that. Ben Shapiro just will not shut up about Nick Fuentes. Like, oh my God,
only
dude.
making your enemy stronger.
And it's like that? And to be honest, I'm no like it was the Jews conspiracy theorist, but Ben Shapiro 100% deserves this. 100 like Ben Shapiro 100% deserves his fate, because
what's the fate, by the way?
That he's just making Nick Fuentes look better and better, and he's making himself look worse and worse by trying to attack him.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, Ben Shapiro 100% deserves his fate, because
I think he's also an example. Sorry to interrupt. I just think he's also an example of somebody who totally lacks self-awareness.
Yes.
To the nth degree.
Yeah.
Like I get it. You die on the hill. Stand up for what you believe in. Totally understand. But my God, have a little bit of nuance in your thinking, please. Like, not just thinking, but like outlook on the world. Like, oh, people hate me. What's the reason?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And it's like, it's just because, like, he's made it abundantly clear that basically, as far as all the, like, anti-Jew stereotypes, are concerned, being about money and like loyalty to the state of Israel over America and all that. Like, I don't know if it's true about every Jew, but it's true about him. He's just like, he's kind of insufferable.
He's so insufferable. I used to love watching his show back 10 or so years ago. But yeah, as the time went on, I kind of fell out and like just got distracted with other things. But then like I go back and I'm like, oh, what's he talking about now? I'm like, whoa, take a chill pill, dude. Like, I don't know. Yeah, so like, people just have to have opinion about everything, I guess.
Like, what really, like a good example of just the kind of thing is like when he reacted to Nick Fuentes being interviewed by Tucker Carlson.
Mm-hmm. Kind of lost it.
And he like went on, I think it was Megyn Kelly's show, and started talking about how, like all the, like, basically he was trying to like defend his attacks against Tucker Carlson. It's like, well, Tucker's a journalist, and he needs to be like covering these topics and that are important for, the right wing as a whole, as opposed to platforming neo-Nazis and blah, 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 blah. It's just like, oh my God, do you even hear yourself?
Yeah, I think it's going to get to the point where, I don't know how Joe Rogan feels, but I think it's going to get to the point this year or next, this year's almost over, where next year's going to come around and Nick Fuentes is going to be on Joe Rogan or something, like with Alex Jones or something. Like, it's going to get there. But I think Nick Fuentes, I don't know where you were going with Ben Shapiro, but kind of to comment on Ben, I think that he's not a chaos agent, but I think that it gets to the point where people do enough self-analysis to where they see how audience react to their behavior or their viewpoints, and then they kind of latch onto that. And I think we're in an age where it's kind of the best time to do that because it can be kind of lucrative. And I don't know and look, I just don't know Nick. Excuse me, really. I've watched some of his content, and I kind of find the guy also a little insufferable just because of he's fun to listen to. I'll give him that. He has some really out there takes. He's also said a lot of things where I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? Like, this guy is just kind of just crazy, but maybe not crazy is the right word.
Well, I don't think he's crazy.
Yeah, maybe it's just he's a Nazi.
Well, I wouldn't even call him a Nazi. To be honest, I think he's most of his out there, like, horrible stuff that, everyone that he's put out that, has everybody convinced that he's like, loves Hitler and all that. I think he's just trolling people.
It's hard to say, dude. At least it's hard to gauge, I would say.
Because, like, if you look at his, like, I recently started following him on X. And, like, I went back, when I first started following him, I went back through his tweets, like his recent ones, to see what kind of stuff he'd been posting. Because before then, I'd really only just seen clips, here and there, of other people reacting to his stuff, and then I did watch the Tucker Carlson interview. And so I was reading through some of his tweets, and it's just like, like, I've come to the conclusion that a lot of his more out there stuff is just trolling, because the way he does things is either he's totally schizophrenic or he's just trolling. And because, like, you'll go through his tweet history, and he'll go from, like, saying that, like, defending Tucker Carlson from, attacks by other, like, media commentators and whatnot, to then, like, straight up attacking Tucker Carlson and calling him all sorts of names. He did the same thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying that she was unfairly, persecuted by the Trump administration because of her views on Israel, and that, Donald, MAGA destroyed one of its most vocal supporters, and then a few posts later, he's saying she's acting like a feminist bitch. Stuff like that.
No consistency at all.
Stuff like that, which leads me to believe he's either a total shizo, or he's he's totally schizophrenic and bipolar, or he's just a troll.
Or all the above.
So
who knows?
I'm guessing that. So yeah, my take is that he really just loves trolling people. He really just loves saying things that he thinks are going to rile people up.
Yeah.
In the moment. It doesn't have to be he's not worried about all of his past statements having some kind of logical consistency to them. He's not worried about any of that. He just wants to say the thing that's going to get him attention, or that's going to upset people in the moment, even if he later on he might say something contrary to that for the same purpose. Aside from the trolling, when it seems like he's talking more seriously, I actually think he's saying a lot of things that need to be said right now.
What things are they? Because he said a lot of things.
Well,
good and bad.
For one thing, is he's drawing a lot of attention to, just a lot of the stuff we don't want to see in MAGA, starting new wars and all that kind of stuff. It seems like there's this big push for people trying to influence Donald Trump to, invade Iran and invade Venezuela and all that kind of stuff.
Like the rhino portion of the parties and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the
Warhawks, I should say.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of calling out of that kind of stuff. It's or the whole limp-wristed response to the waves of Indian immigrants coming and essentially setting up ethnic enclaves in our country. And Trump's very limp-wristed response to that was to, the fee hike on H-1B visa applications that turned out wasn't for renewal. It was only for new applications, instead of just when he should have just canceled the program altogether.
Because what's happening right now?
Well, essentially,
in that situation,
essentially what's been happening is we see these waves of Indians come in. They're setting up these ethnic enclaves, to the point of you have things like a giant Hindu monkey god statue constructed in Texas. You have things like this state, California, giving out commercial driver's licenses to large numbers of undocumented or even documented Indian immigrants, and then those people not being able to read and speak English, running people off the road.
Yeah, we've seen examples of that too.
You see the tech industry taken over by Indian immigrants. It's a big mess. And I think what a lot of people were hoping Trump was going to do was just say, hey, let's scrap the H-1B visa program altogether because this is getting out of hand. Instead, what he does is, he hikes the fee for new H-1B visa applications. You know,
Interesting.
That's not, you know, that doesn't stop them from coming over here.
Yeah, it doesn't accomplish the goal that kind of mega side of things want accomplished.
So it's just like stuff like that.
Stuff like that. Okay.
Calling out where the MAGA movement is kind of betraying its core principles. And two, I also, even though I'm not like the Jews did it kind of conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, you're not, just to be clear. Like Ian said, you're not a neo-Nazi. Or on the last podcast, like, David's not a neo-Nazi, guys. He was an edgelord in high school, and he's kind of carried that into adulthood, or whatever he said.
But what I will say is
you're not the Jews who did it all. But what are you going to say?
But what I will say is that the people he's riling up as far as the pro-Israel crowd goes, like, I'm all for that. Because, like, it's honestly shocking how many of our politicians and how many in, like, this sort of elite political class in this country are loyal to Israel over America.
It is very interesting to see that, and kind of scary at some points. Because I don't want to get into discussion of Israel specifically, but it is weird to see a lot of people's unapologetic support for the country. I think that has to do a lot with donations and who's funding these politicians, obviously.
Yeah, and I don't like...
Isn't it, what's it called, AIPAC or something?
Yeah, to be clear, I don't like, necessarily think that supporting Israel is a bad thing in and of itself, but the manner in which it's done is very concerning in the political sphere specifically, because, like, you have, like, Ted Cruz, for example. Yeah. Ted Cruz literally said protecting Israel was the reason he got into politics. It's like, that's not what a politician for the United States should be saying. Like,
yeah, that's kind of a little, sounds like he said that. I don't know the heart behind it, but it sounds like he said that because the people supporting him would love to hear that.
And then
you mentioned on their side.
You mentioned AIPAC.
Is that the right group organization? Let me look up what it stands for.
It's American Israel PAC. I don't know what the rest of it.
PAC meaning lobby. Lobby. Oh, AIPAC.
Yes.
The American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Oh, man. Yeah. If I go to Wikipedia, also known as the CIA's public board, let me see what they say.
Okay, well, anyway,
it's a pro-Israel lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with AIPAC. They're a pro-Israel lobby, but what's interesting about them is they're not required to register as a foreign lobbyist group.
Really?
So,
yeah, they have a tax number.
Yeah, so that's
the American Israel Fund. Never mind.
Yeah, so that's another thing that's like, you know, it
makes us ask questions for sure.
Yeah, it's like, why is a group dedicated to lobbying for the interests of a foreign country, why aren't they being forced under the law to register as a foreign lobbyist group? Because that's the thing is, under the law that governs how lobbyist groups operate in this country, if a group wants to lobby for a foreign nation, they have to register as a foreign lobbyist group. But for whatever reason, AIPAC is exempt from this.
It's the only one, or is there others? There might be others.
There might be others.
Who knows? Yeah.
I
There's a
haven't-
pretty corrupt system we live in.
I haven't looked too deeply into the issue. But there's some questions that need to be answered.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that people like Nick Fuentes are talking about this kind of thing, because when you do, it riles these people up. Like, they get real mad when you start asking these questions.
And it's also good to point out that, look, I'm not a the Jews did it or anything kind of guy. Jews with 2 O's, like, I ain't that kind of dude. I think it is important to ask questions, though. Like, I ain't no, what's it called? Israel derangement syndrome person. I just think, to make it clear, neither is David, by the way. Let's be clear. I just think it's important to point out some things, too. And look, when you go on Wikipedia, you can't read everything you believe on. You can't believe everything you read on the internet, to be clear. Like, go and look at public documents. But it is interesting how they do, and multiple lobbies do this. They buy both sides of the aisle. This is the kind of political system we live in the world. That's just how it is. Not just exclusive to America, the entire world. But it is interesting. People from the left and the right, are being paid by them. It's only in the tens of millions, though, is what they're reportedly bringing in. So it's like, and expending too, like their expense and revenue from just what Wikipedia says is in the tens of millions. It doesn't seem like a lot to me, but I don't know. But just by looking at it with glance, and I don't know too deep of the topic, so.
Yeah, and it's less that any one of these things are like evidence of some grand conspiracy on their own. But when you start to look at things like these together, and then you start to see the reaction that somebody like Nick Fuentes has when they're talking about this stuff, it's hard not to be drawn into a conspiratorial mindset by that.
It's also really easy to get drawn into it too, because if you, like, I was just on the Wikipedia page and it said the people who founded it as well as the people who are currently running it. I'm like, I really want to click on these names, see what family they belong to, see what other companies they have money in, see where they come from. Do they have any connections to BlackRock? Like, are the people who, part of BlackRock, are they Jewish? Are they not? I don't know. But it's like my mind personally starts going into these places. And I think it's really dangerous to actually do that, because your mind can get carried away. And I think that's exactly like people like Ian Carrol have done, is they have let themselves get so carried away that we are in a conspiracy in this world and nothing is normal. And it's like, I mean, if you want to look at the world that way, you can. I don't think that's reality, though.
Yeah, people like that, basically.
I think there's more nuance to it.
Yeah,
okay?
They've got the terminally online brain rot is what they've got.
And I think that's kind of the correlation I would tie people like Nick, people like Candace, Ian, even Milo Yiannopoulos, even Kanye West. I think all of these people are chaos agents. They can't help themselves. They need attention on themselves at some point. Maybe not Ian Carrol, but definitely Milo, definitely Nick, definitely Candace, and sure, Kanye. Throw him in there for sure. But there are definitely people out there that will, whether they are correct or not in their opinion, in their analysis or whatever, there are people out there, politically speaking, that are just, and culturally speaking, that are just chaos agents. In the sense of, they're people who, they only bring chaos and destruction. They can't build anything. They can only tear things down. And I see that with Milo, especially. I followed him for years. I see that with Candace, unfortunately, now. I see it with Nick. And there's a lot I've seen Nick say where I'm like, I just, like, why are you saying this on the internet? And do you actually believe any of this? Like, he just, to me, for Nick Fuentes, back on that thing, he just seems like such a disingenuous person, kind of like Milo. Like, Milo's entertaining as hell, though. Like, I'll give him that. Every one of these people are entertaining to watch and listen to. And Milo's very interesting, too, because of the whole, him being gay and now not gay and that kind of thing. Like, it's fascinating. But like, is any of it genuine? Is what I would ask. But I don't think anybody really knows. Nick knows if he is himself genuine, but just seeing what he said, kind of, especially on his Rumble streams, if you watch him on Rumble, like, there's a lot that guy has said where I'm like, what the heck is this guy even doing? Like, what's the point of all this? Like, is it just for intention? Is it just for money? I think kind of what we're kind of getting at, David, is people are kind of so chronically online and they know exactly what to say to get reactions out of certain groups of people where they will at some point get a never-ending stream of attention. And I think it's an intoxicating thing. And there's some people that do it really well and some people who don't. What do you think of this and the fact of there are people who know how to play their hands so well on the internet that people can't help but look at them?
Yeah. I wouldn't call Nick Fuentes a chaos agent necessarily. I would call him a troll.
Well, I would say a chaos agent would be a troll.
But I mean, like, I feel like he's in a different position. I feel like he's still in like sane status. He says some wild things, but he says them with purpose. Like he's like to achieve a specific goal, whether it be riling somebody up or misdirecting or whatever. Like he says wild things, I think, for a purpose. Whereas Candace Owens, I think she's deranged at this point. Like I think I don't want to lump all these people in together because like they're
different people.
Like there's sort of nuance to it all.
Sure.
Like I don't know Ian Carrol outside of comments I've read of his, so I'm not going to comment on him specifically. But like Nick Fuentes, Milo Yiannopoulos, Candace Owens, like people sort of like lump them all in together into a group. As like I don't think they're a group. Like people, they have this sort of name that they branded all these people with. They call them the woke right.
Yeah, the woke right, yeah.
Yeah, it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Which is also what they're trying to lump Tucker Carlson with it as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I think Nick has a lot to do with it, honestly. I think Candace, when you look at her, it's kind of like, yeah, she's influential. And they're all real hot right now. Like, they're hot to the touch. Like, people want to talk about them or talk to them or whatever. But it's like, is there anything... Like, I always ask this, like, what's the heart behind the person? Whether it be a creator or whatever. And from just their words and actions, I would call them a chaos agent because they only care about themselves and they don't care about anything else, with maybe the exception of their family. But they've just shown so much selfish behavior that your Milos, your Nicks, and your Candaces all kind of fit that thing. And they don't care what happens or who they hurt or what they do. They just care about themselves.
I don't know.
Like, Nick, I haven't seen everything from him, but I've seen enough where I'm like, this dude is just like kind of just getting attention for not the sake of it is not the right descriptor, but like, I don't know how else to explain him. He's just kind of like this unicorn.
Well,
like Kanye picked him to be his manager along with Milo. So like, that's where they're all coming from. And it's like, what's the point of all this?
Yeah, I think his association with Kanye was more of a happenstance kind of a thing, rather than any actual like ideological bond between them. Yeah, this the thing is, I also
think Milo and Nick I've seen them take advantage of Kanye, and I feel also Kanye's just crazy. I think he's just legit a crazy person. If he's still maybe a good person for sure, and he's come around at this point. But I remember seeing that Tim Pool IRL cast where like he's interviewing Kanye, and then Kanye gets up and leaves, and it's like Milo and Nick stay there and finish the podcast with Tim. It's like it was very obvious, very clear that they were just taking advantage of the guy. And I'm like, that's not right. Come on, guys. Milo has a history of doing that in general. Nick, that was the first time I was introduced to him, especially on the Alex Jones show. But it's like, I would say Milo's kind of just this pure chaos agent for the sake of it.
I wouldn't say, see, that's the thing is Milo, I think, just kind of latches on to other movements. I don't think he's necessarily a chaos agent. He just kind of is. He tends to latch on to whatever movement he thinks people will accept him in. Because like before he was rolling with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West, he was a sort of a hanger-on in the alt-right movement with what's his face? Oh, who is that dude? Richard Spencer.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's like I think just Milo has just sort of been in these fringe movements, just trying to like find whatever acceptance he can, kind of a thing.
Yeah. I think he's kind of been able to survive through the last 10 years on that kind of thing, whether it be with Richard or Kanye or whoever. He's also, like, his interview with Tucker recently is interesting about, are you gay? I haven't finished the interview yet, but it's just fascinating to see him kind of go through this kind of self-discovery thing about himself. And of course, in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this real? Is this not? Are you just being weird? But I think genuinely he's kind of had this remorse about himself and his life, and he's getting to the point where like, I need to make a change for the better, and maybe I can share. And he's just so openly honest about everything. Or dishonest, however you see it, but he's so open about everything that he's kind of just, you get to see his journey in real time. I think that's kind of the case with Milo. I think it is genuine, that kind of thing, like him saying, hey, I'm not gay anymore, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's taboo, but I'll explain why. I think that's genuine. But like the other political stuff I see in the past, like with Kanye and stuff, I think it's kind of just him just trying to survive.
Yeah, that's what I really think it is. He's looking for some kind of relevance, looking for some kind of movement that will, basically support his existence.
Yeah. But yeah, back on Nick. Are you down with the Fuentes? Do you think you obviously the Jews didn't do it, David? They're not behind everything.
I wouldn't say I'm a Fuentes fan, but I am kind of like a sort of like I'm interested in him. He's a fascinating, entertaining character. I really like to see more than his content specifically. I really like to see just the absolute furor that he seems to provoke in other people.
Furor or
furor?
Fury?
Yes.
Like you're talking Hitler?
Like no, not furor. Like not FUHRER, FUROR, furor.
And that just means what? Like
that's like
pure anger, or
yeah, that's just like commotion. And
okay. I just want to make sure it's clear because I kept thinking,
yeah,
that guy with that from Austria,
yeah, not the kind of furor,
not the Austrian painter,
not the kind of furor that you heil to,
yes,
but the kind of furor that you're in when you're like all riled up and you can't contain yourself, kind of a thing.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. Make sure I understand what you're saying. Thank you.
Yeah, so
And also so the audience doesn't get confused.
so I'm mostly here for just like basically
fun of
watching
it.
him piss off all the right people. Because I'm not anti-Semitic by any stretch of the imagination, but some of these people in like the pro-Israel lobby, like Ben Shapiro, and Mark Levin and Ted Cruz are just absolute asshats.
Yeah, Mark Levin's become so insufferable for me, honestly.
Yeah, just they're especially Mark Levin and Ted Cruz especially are just absolute asshats. Ben Shapiro is at least entertaining, you know?
Yeah. At least, yeah, he's somewhat entertaining, yeah, versus those other two. Here's the thing. I remember watching the Change My Mind stuff that Steven Crowder put on years ago when he started doing that. People like Steven Crowder and to some extent some other people out there, even Ian Carroll, I would say, bring people to the light or shine a light on dark things. And they expose things for what they are. And I really appreciate that when people do that. I think Ruslan's a great example of that, actually. And I think when things are exposed and shone a light on, things get real hot real quick with whoever did that to shine the light on it. And I think there's been different people like Nick who've done it with different methods, who've just basically asked questions, but also say they want a holy crusade against Israel, which is, you know, he said a lot of things. Sure, he could be just trolling. But you see these people kind of talking about these certain things. I think Candace is just pure kind of hogwash at this point. I think she said so many things that it's like, I don't believe anything she says anymore. And I think there's some ulterior motive she has, whether it be some bitterness or scornfulness she has against the whole situation with Charlie Kirk. I think it's kind of like she's kind of out, what's it called? She's out to lunch, is what I would say. But with Nick, I think it's interesting how he has riled up these people and how, again, like you said earlier, David, why are they giving him so much attention?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I don't understand it.
Like, honestly, if they stopped talking about him, he would become so much less relevant.
Yeah.
But they continue. They just can't help themselves.
And I think it's so weird. It's like, what are you afraid of? Like, he's like, are you afraid he's exposing your grand plan or your plan like, hey, we got a good thing going on with this AIPAC thing. I don't want to ruin my relationship with them, but for some reason, this crazy alt-right, anti-Semitic dude online is saying all this shit and it's now popular. I have to say something about it. It's like, why? Like, just stay quiet. Like, so you can get reelected. Like, that's kind of the best way of getting reelected is saying nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the point of all this? Is it people can't help themselves? Like, I don't know. It makes you wonder.
I will say, you know who I really feel bad for in this whole political shit show that we find ourselves in?
J.D. Vance.
Yeah, to a certain degree. But I was going to say to the people of Texas, they really got a raw deal.
The job market sucks ass over there right now, too.
Well, think about it.
Yes.
We were talking about Ted Cruz. And who's the other senator from Texas? Dan Crenshaw.
Oh, God. I feel really bad for Texans.
Out of all the people that could have represented Texas in Congress, they get Ted Cruz and Dan Crenshaw. Like,
yeah.
That, I mean, at least, like over here in California, our politicians are absolute dog shit.
Yes.
And it's fine because
perfect descriptor.
It's fine because they're out in the open about it.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we're evil.
Yeah,
we're evil, and this is a one-party state, and it's never going back.
Yeah, with Ted Cruz and Dan Crenshaw, they're still trying to pretend like they're the good guys.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the people of Texas.
I kind kind of just hate the fact that there's a lot of people in, and here's the thing. Around the world, everybody's got something to say about American politics. Mostly because America's got a big influence in the world. Also, something that I've been more savvy to recently is there's a lot of people that come over here, and nothing against these people, except you suck. You come over here, you make a ton of money by just doing a regular job here, and then you take it back to your country. I just think it kind of goes back to our assimilation kind of discussion that people got mad about us over, where I'm kind of more along that line a little bit now, where I see, and I personally know someone, I can't say who it is, but I know someone personally who's in a relationship with somebody who has a son who is coming over here from a foreign country, collecting money and taking it back. I personally know somebody who's involved with that kind of operation. And to find that out and the whole Somali culture in Minnesota with Ilhan Omar and that whole really shady stuff that whole stuff has been going on with basically the whole community that Ilhan Omar represents is sending tens of millions of dollars back to Somali through their own community. And the reason how they've gotten away with it is because they all know each other and they're all from Somali and they don't rat each other out.
Yeah.
And they've been able to funnel tens of millions of dollars, even hundreds of millions of dollars from federal grants and approvals from medical funding in the U.S. government to Somali. And it's crazy.
And you know what's even worse,
and it's not even a conspiracy.
What's even worse, too, about that situation is from what I haven't looked into the issue too deeply, but it seems like there's some info out there that's suggesting that the governor, Tim Walz, knew that this was happening and simply chose not to do anything about the issue. And it's like,
yeah,
I mean, that's another state right there that has just absolutely terrible politicians.
Yeah.
But speaking of terrible politicians, I found out that apparently Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, is going to run for governor in Minnesota to try and challenge Tim Walz. Which, I don't know much about Mike Lindell necessarily, but I feel like he's probably a better choice. So I hopefully he can do it.
It was really funny. There was a point in my grandfather's life where he was watching a lot of TV and he watched a bunch of Mike Lindell because the commercials kept coming up on like TBN and whatever channel he was watching. He got to see so many Mike Lindell commercials about the My Pillow that he just got like pretty mad about seeing those commercials. Like he was just sick of seeing the dude. And then he's like, I guess he also saw him in an interview with somebody on TV. And he like was just so like he just had this like kind of bitterness toward the guy. And it was really funny. My grandpa was like in his 80s at this point, and he's like, yeah, that Mike Lindell, I don't know what it is. I just don't trust the guy. And then you know what my uncle did for Christmas?
What?
He bought him a My Pillow.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
The funniest thing. And then grandpa opens it up, he's like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, what the hell is this? It was so funny. Oh gosh. So
man, that's
but
good.
yeah, well, I hope he wins. I mean, Tim Walz ain't nothing to write home about. So
No, definitely not. We
over here in California, I mean, it can't get worse than what we got over here. Especially, I don't know. We'll see what happens too, because I think the way this state is set up personally, I'm not going to get into California politics, but the way this state is set up, I don't think we'll ever get into a state of normalcy at all. It's kind of rigged against whoever comes up against Newsom anyway, or whoever's going to replace him.
Yeah, it seems like that.
Yeah.
Although at this point, I wonder if Larry Elder decided to run again, if he could muster enough support this time around to
yeah, because if you look at the demographics compared to 2020 and 2024, California has gotten redder in that kind of sense. Like,
yeah.
Geographically and representation-wise, it has gotten that way. And if there is pushes for redistricting stuff, we could see changes potentially. But who knows? Larry Elder's ran like every time at this point. So
has he?
I've seen him.
I voted for him in the last recall election.
Yeah,
but
same,
other than that, I don't remember seeing him on the ballot.
He ran a few years ago before that.
Okay.
This was like his second attempt, I think. So at least from what I know, I haven't been around forever, but I've listened to the guy. I like him. He's a kind of a. He was a. What was it? A mentoree or something, or maybe just a simple follower of Thomas Sowell. I can't remember. Like he was, I think, like Thomas Sowell's like. Not prodigy, but he was his mentor or something like that.
Thomas Sowell was
mentored Larry Elder.
Yeah, okay.
I could be totally wrong by that, but that's what I remember hearing in an interview, I think, with Larry Elder. But I could be totally wrong. Anyway,
makes sense.
All is good.
They're both black, right?
Gosh. But yeah, well, you know what, David? To put a cap on that Fuentes thing, I just am curious to see where, like, these people's peak will hit, and their journey. Because, like, is it going to get to the point where, like, because here's the thing, kind of like Crenshaw is a great example. Dan Crenshaw from Texas. If you're on the internet, if you voice your opinion out there long enough, usually your true colors will be shown. And he's shown those true colors, like pro-Ukraine dude, Warhawk kind of guy, that kind of thing. So it's like, that's who Dan Crenshaw is. And he's also not a very nice person from what I've seen.
Did I ever show you the meme where it's like POV, you're Dan Crenshaw trying to kill Tucker Carlson?
That's right.
Picture of Tucker Carlson with half of it blacked out.
That's terrible. It's so bad, but it's funny. But yeah, dude, that guy has gone off the rocker, and it's crazy. But anyway, I used to like him when I first got interested. I'm like, oh, this guy's kind of cool. Well, I think, but then I saw like other behavior, and I'm like, oh, no.
I think everyone was kind of taken in by him because he said all the right things, and then he was, he had the pedigree, former special forces. He literally lost his eye in service to this country. Like that's an unbeatable pedigree when it comes to politics,
dude. Yeah.
So I think everybody pretty much got taken in by him at the beginning, but like you said, after a while his true colors came out. He just couldn't help himself.
Yeah, and I was watching an interview with him. The first this was before the whole before like his tweets came out, basically, and before the whole Ukraine thing too. But like he was in an interview and he was talking about his book, and he was just kind of like being an ass to the guy who was interviewing him. And I was just like, what the heck's going on with Dan? Like, kind of like, why is he being this jerk to this dude? And then from there, you kind of see the other stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess you're just not a good person. So, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to bring up Nick and Candace and all these people. Like, it's interesting to see these people having influence over the culture, but also them being the responsible for all the bickering back and forth, the chaos, the contentiousness of everything. Them like honing onto that, grabbing onto it and latching onto themselves to it. And it's like, do you really want to have your life be remembered this way? Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if it's their fault necessarily. I think it's more just like...
Well, I think it's like after Trump won in 2024, it's like, and even before he won, I was kind of thinking to myself, okay, well, what's going to happen after this? Like, are we actually going to try to get along with each other? Like, what's going to go on? Or are we just going to fight each other now? And I think in the culture war, it's people who are for freedom and people who are not. And I think that's still the case. But I think it's just the internet, the reality of the world and the state of it, and how people know how to get others riled up. And there's
Yeah.
some people who are really, really good at it, and things that are just, they're so chronically online that they know what buttons to press.
Yeah, and that's the thing is it's not I don't think it's any particular person's fault or any set of people's fault. It's everyone's fault. It's all
Yeah.
of us.
And I also,
It's just this
yeah.
landscape. It's just this how people are and how social media is created all of this.
Mm.
And you can't necessarily point the blame at Candace or Nick
No.
or Ben Shapiro or whoever and say you did it. You know, it's really it's just kind of who we are as a society right now.
Yeah.
It's all of our faults because it's like I'm not necessarily, you know, like a supporter of any of these people,
Yeah,
but
same.
all the same, I find plenty of entertainment value in watching them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not necessarily even like an unbiased outside observer as much as I might like to consider myself to be because my entertainment comes from engaging with this content, so I'm part of the whole, you know, the whole machine in a sense.
I'm glad you brought up the machine because that's where I was going to next. I think there's a huge oversight, or excuse me, completely overestimation about how many bots are actually on the internet. And I'm talking, I think, like, you look at that 2.5 million viewers that Candace has on her video. And yeah, I think it's important that you go into I actually like how you go into the comments to see what people are saying. Because I think there's certain bots that will go and just get views. But then there's also bots that will comment. And I think that's a different discussion. But like, in terms of just pure views, I wouldn't be surprised if the actual real people that watch her videos or any videos on the internet, I think that 2.5 million views in reality is actually like 1.2 million people, real people watching it or clicking on it for however long of a time it is.
Yeah, well,
Because
I think that's
I
true
honestly,
across the board.
yeah,
though.
that's what I'm saying, as I think it's true across the board. And I think people just have an incredible overestimation or underestimation of the power of bots on the internet and every country that runs them and everything, and especially with AI being involved with it. I think it's really important to remember that, how kind of like our early discussion about how the reason why I think a lot of the anti-Israel stuff is popular is because there's a lot of people around Israel that hate the Jews, man. Like, that's just how it is. And I think it's kind of unfortunate that people take advantage of that and like they see the attention and money that they earn from that discussion and from that topic, and whether it's genuine or not, they dive deep into it and take advantage of people or advantage of the attention. So I would just say that as a cautionary tale when you are watching stuff, when you are consuming stuff out there, because it's like, I think it's just an important factor to remember as you browse the internet in general. And I think in terms of the comment thing, I would also like say there's 4,000 comments underneath that video, which is a decent chunk, 50,000 likes, maybe 100,000 likes, and then you get 50,000 likes, and then you get 4,000 comments, those who actually went down and comment. I wouldn't be surprised if 2,000 of those people are real. Like maybe half of those people. Like there's also a lot of bots out there that will just, copy and paste stuff or say some things and upvote random stuff and that kind of thing. Like I think it's just an important factor to remember as we live on the internet nowadays. And I think that's always been the case. Except if you were in part of MySpace. Because no bots would go there. But I think that's all I really have to say. Excuse me. I don't really like to do political topics on our Snarp Fangle, but I think there's some entertaining things to discuss about the culture war and the course it's taken.
Yeah. I think one thing too about this whole culture war is I think the root of it is people trying to zero in on what it means to what it means to be MAGA, what it means to be America first.
Yeah.
because Donald Trump's win in 2024 was monumental. Like, the amount of coalition building that he was able to do was absolutely incredible, given the opposition that he faced from basically everywhere else.
Yeah, and it's also important to remember, like, even if you like the guy or you don't like the guy, like, you vehemently hate the dude, it's really impressive to see the movement that went with him,
Yeah,
that voted for him.
yeah. So as a result of that huge coalition that he built, it naturally raised some questions about what sort of direction is what sort of direction should the country actually be going in? Like, because it wasn't just like conservatives or like far right type people or neoliberals or anything else. It was like a huge mishmash of all these different groups with all these different ideas about how the country should be run, all sort of came together to elect Donald Trump.
And you got to remember, it's also very, in quotes, it is diverse. Like, he's got a crazy amount of Black and Mexican votes, a crazy amount of Hispanic votes, like an insane amount of Hispanic votes, like record-breaking Hispanic votes.
Yeah,
which is hilarious because it breaks that whole narrative that people try to throw his way of being racist against Mexicans, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so with all that, all those different ideas kind of rubbing up against each other in this political climate that we find ourselves in, I think it was only natural that we would see the kind of infighting that we see now. And it just, because of social media, because of the way people are, it just kind of like intensified the whole thing.
Yeah. And I also think it's interesting when you look at the beginning of the Biden administration during this last election cycle, the last 4 years, and you see the culture war go from there, and there was a lot of building during those 4 years. Tim Cass was one of them, Tim Pool, and his building up things. But also like Scott Pressler, who, I think you could arguably say him and Charlie Kirk, a lot of people kind of are the reason Trump won in the first place, kind of just spreading the word and telling the truth the way it is, and just going out there and being a proponent of it. There's a lot of powerful people that are good people out there that have done that for that kind of movement. In terms of the other kind of side of things, I don't know if there's any people who have been in that same boat on the other side, but I don't know. I think it's just such a culmination of a lot of people that it's just, well, I guess we'll see what happens in 2026 and 2028, but yeah. Final question, David. Fun final question. Do you think he's going to do a third term?
Trump?
DJT, yeah.
As much as I would love to see it. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so either. Are we going to get like JD and Tulsi or something? Probably not Tulsi, but JD. Are we going to get JD?
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of like JD Vance is sort of being groomed to be the next Trump. But it's kind of too early to tell.
Yeah, it's way too early.
A lot of things can change between now and 2028. So, but
maybe
as
it's gonna run again.
as it stands, I would definitely not be opposed to seeing JD Vance as our next president, because it seems like he's got all the right. He's got all the qualities of Trump that are right, but also he's less of a boomer.
He's our first vice president in the history to probably ever casually and intentionally listen to 311, being a millennial, elder millennial.
Like, when you think about it, like, it's crazy how young he is. He's like 41.
Yeah.
Like, that's really, really young for a president or a vice president. And so just his whole outlook is totally different than most politicians.
Yeah.
As a result of it. So I think as long as there's not something ugly beneath the surface that comes out, that eventually comes out the way it did with Dan Crenshaw, I think I would definitely welcome a J.D. Vance presidency.
Yeah. Will he usher in the new AI revolution during his terms, during his tenure as president? Probably not. I don't know. That's a rhetorical question.
Yeah, that's AI revolution is.
It's on the way anyway.
Yeah, that's already happened basically. Frickin' all these companies driving up the price of GPUs and memory. It's crazy.
Yeah, dude, I've been really struggling because I've been wanting to get something just before things get too crazy. Heck, there's reports out there that the phones next year are going to have less RAM than this last cycle.
What the?
Because like they're going to bring back 4 gigabyte RAM phones because of the RAM shortage.
That's absolutely insane to me.
And you know what's also crazy is the
Like-
fact that these are $1,000 phones that they're going to be charging anyway. So it's like they can easily, that don't cost $1,000, obviously.
Like 4 gigabytes of RAM for a phone seems crazy.
It was
Like-
it was a lot 3 years ago.
I have
4
the
years
like
ago.
the like one of the worst like spec'd iPhones there are, and this thing has 16 gigabytes of RAM.
Which is crazy, dude. And I have the newest Galaxy from this last year, 25 plus, just because I needed to get a phone, and this was like the best option that I had for my carrier. And I think it also has like 12 or 16 gigs of RAM. Like it's a great phone.
Yeah, it's
But
like
now you're gonna get 4 gigabyte flagships,
because it's like
which is ridiculous. In an era where AI is like gonna chew up all that RAM anyway.
yeah,
Why would you even? Why?
yeah, that's just so crazy to me.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's a different podcast.
yeah,
Yeah. I think that's it. That's all I got for you, David. So let's end it there.
all right, let's do it.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. If you've out of the dozens of people that listen to our show, I'd be surprised if. Well, let us know down in the comments or email us at snarfanglepod@gmail.com. If you got this far, your special word is fart. So if you've gotten this far, comment fart in the comments down below, or email me or text Jake. Either way.
Yeah, definitely. If you've listened this
If you've
far,
listened to the end, text me fart.
yes.
Please. I need to know. I know maybe 2 people will probably do it, but if you got to this end, I earnestly, if you've listened to this far, please text me. If you have my number, fart, F-A-R-T. Please, if you've made it this far, I'm gonna text you. My regular listeners, if you don't you gotta let me know that you made it this far. Anyway, or comment down below. I don't care. Anyway, we'll bid you adieu. We'll see you later. And remember, Twitter isn't real life. Politics isn't everything. And remember to Snarp Fangle on.
But bye now.